An administrative decision is Wednesbury unreasonable if it is so unreasonable that no reasonable decision maker could have made the decision. The courts have emphasised that this is a high bar, because if the court merely inquired into the reasonableness of the decision, they would be conducting merits review, and merits review the court must not conduct. Consequently, when we look to understand Wednesbury unreasonableness, instead of reading cases where it was successfully argued, we find ourselves reading cases where it was not successfully argued and asking why not. This is one of those cases. Mr. Eshetu was a university student in Ethiopia and a member of the Student Council. He claims that when students were organising a rally against the government, troops were sent in to arrest them. He claims to have been held and tortured for 3 days, and then afterwards he became aware that some of the students had been executed. He fled in fear, first to Israel and then on a fake passport to Australia, where he made a refugee claim. He further claimed that after his arrival in Australia, he had learned that most of the students who he had been arrested with had been killed in later protests. The problem was that there were a range of international organisations and news organisations quite closely watching Ethiopia at this time, which was 1993. The department engaged with all those sources, but they could find no evidence that 25 students, including Mr. Eshetu, had been arrested and tortured, and no evidence of any further crackdown on university students. There was just nothing. On this basis, Mr. Eshetu's application was rejected. One of the arguments on appeal was that the decision to reject his application was Wednesbury unreasonable, that it was so unreasonable to reject his claim that no reasonable decision maker could have done so. The court was split, but the majority found that there was no Wednesbury unreasonableness. Chief Justice Gleeson and Justice McHugh said, "Someone who disagrees strongly with someone else's process of reasoning on an issue of fact may express such disagreement by describing the reasoning as illogical or unreasonable, or even so unreasonable that no reasonable person could adopt it. If these are merely emphatic ways of saying that the reasoning is wrong, then they may have no particular legal consequence." This case then emphasised that mere disagreement can never be Wednesbury unreasonable.